I think one of the great traits of God at the moment is that religion is so under attack, that the Christian religion in particular is so under attack, and traditional values,
the
traditional
churches
ideas
were closed. The priests refused to speak. We reached out to priests today. They will not come publicly and speak. Even though they've left their flock to fend for themselves against the wolves. So they've just portrayed so many. Then when they opened, they segregated, which went against anything that Jesus ever taught. I mean, that's just sacrilegious to segregate. So it's extraordinary times. And that's why I wonder if realizing that there is a chance that God could lose simply under the weight of our choices, whether that would add more energy to our fight. This is a real fight, and we are the last sort of warriors of the human version of God.
What do you think, Dylan?
I think a lot of things here. It's interesting what you're saying, Michael. It's good what you just said before too, Billy. In Isaiah 59:19, it says, when the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard against him. And we see that all through history, and we see it through biblical history as well. It does sometimes seem like that situation is completely dire. And here's the thing about God. He has vested dominion and his rule on the earth through his people. And as much as this might be out of favor to say it, the ruling assembly that God has on the earth today to stand up against evil and to flow the grace and power of God into the earth is the church of the living God. Now, you hear that word church, you think of what you just said, Michael, priests who don't speak up or all this other corruption that goes on. But that aside doesn't take away from the fact that there is a very real organic body that God has designed in this day, in this age, and it's called the Church of God. Really, the Greek word is called the ecclesia, which really means the ruling assembly of called out ones. And Jesus said it like this in the book of Matthew. He said, I will build my church and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And so I've often said that the alternative community, the organization that I want to be part of is the one that Jesus promised the gates of hell will not prevail against it. And we can all see right now that the gates of hell are opening up against humanity. I've got some theories and thoughts about why that is happening. I think we've opened the door up in many ways for Satan to run roughshod and to really attack humanity. It says in the scripture that, he will come down with great wrath in the last days. It said he will spew forth out of his mouth a flood that it would even consume the whole earth if that were possible. But as I said before, when the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard against him. I'll give you one example. We all know the story, and all of your viewers will know this. And the reason they all know this story is because the fellow who was in it prophesied it to be the case. David and Goliath. You know the story, right? I don't think there'd be one viewer, Michael, who doesn't know the story of David and Goliath. When David takes out Goliath, one of the things he says, I'm going to take you down today so that all of Israel may know that there is a God. So that all the world, may know that there is a God in Israel. Well, that prophecy has come true. Everybody knows about David and Goliath. The thing with that story, which is similar to now, is that this giant came out that they had no answers for, and he taunted the people of God for 40 days and 40 nights. He mocked them, he taunted them, he threatened to enslave them, and they sat there and listened to him and just shook in their boots. Now, it looked like it was all over. And I see so many parallels with that today. But see, God raises up a standard. A young shepherd boy comes in from the fields on an errand. He doesn't even know the mission he's about to go on. He comes in with some food for his brothers, and he sees this giant, but instead of being afraid and listening to the taunts and the threats, he says, but who is this uncircumcised Philistine who dares defy the armies of the living God? Who is this Philistine outside of the covenant who dares to think that he's going to destroy us? And he had, for him to do that, Billy, everyone came down on him. His brothers said he was proud. They all accused him of all these different things, tried to send him home. But God was raising up a standard. Even Goliath taunted him and said, am I a dog that you come at me with sticks and stones? I mean, what is this? So I'm just telling you, this is what makes me kind of excited in 2023, is when I see the enemy coming in like a flood, I'm going, beauty, where's the standard? And you know what? It's not some kind of bolt of lightning from the heavens. It's going to be people. It's going to be men and women who are empowered by the Spirit of God, who come out of they come out of left field. You know, they're not the ones that you might expect.
And it only
Carl Stefanovic.
They're not
exactly, maybe.
They're not the Sauls,
Novak
you know, that are
Djokovic.
sitting there, this King Saul shaking in their boots. They're the shepherd boys. They're the Moses who gets drawn out of the wilderness. They're the Gideon who gets drawn out of the wine press. You know,
it only takes a small stone to bring down the lies as well. You know what I mean?
It does, Richard, and it just takes a bit of faith and
good aim.
Incidentally, I'm preaching on Sunday. It's the first time I've preached in a long time in a church. I thought it would have to be a miracle for them to open the doors for me to preach in a church, but miracles do happen, and I'm preaching in a church on Sunday, and what I'm talking about, I probably will come out. But there's a thing that I want to focus on, is that as I look through the scriptures, it's what you keep listening to and believing is what takes you down. That's where the defeat happens. Okay, when David listened, he listened differently. He said, wait up, who's this? You don't defy the armies of the living God. And I've got a few other examples I'm going to include in that as well. And we talk back. David didn't go out and just throw the rock, Richard. He went out and he used his mouth. Well before he slung that stone, he told Goliath exactly what he was going to do to him. You know, Goliath said, I'm going to give your body to the birds of the field and the beasts of the field and the birds of the air. And David said, I'm going to give your body and the host of the Philistines, all of you, I'm giving to the beasts of the field and the birds of the air. He upped the ante.
Yeah, let's definitely take them down in 2023, guys. I think we've got the momentum going. We've got truth on our side. We've got God willing us on. And there are so many good men and women on this earth that we can surely beat these few Noel Hararis and Klaus Schwabs that are scattered around the world. They've got nothing but a little bit of power and money. All we must do is stand up and use our God-given voice and our spirit, and we will win.